This week in Parshas Ki Teizei, we read about different nations which are forbidden to enter the Jewish nation. What does it mean, a nation which is forbidden to enter the Jewish nation? Every person in the world, whichever nation he is born into, has a right to accept Gior, to become a ger, and to become a full-fledged Jew. But certain nations are forbidden, even after they've accepted Gior, to marry into the Jewish nation, to marry a Jewish woman. And different laws of different nations. One of the nations is Ammon, two of the nations are Ammon and Moab. Ammon and Moab can never enter the Jewish nation. Why? Because, says the Torah, they did not greet us with bread and water when we left Egypt. Chazal say this is only an allegory, but in reality, the real reason why we don't allow the Ammon and the Moabi to join Klal Yisrael is, as the pasuk continues the story with Bilam. Bilam wanted to curse us. Balak and Bilam, they conspired against us to curse us, but more than that, say Chazal, they actually, after they were not able to curse, after Bilam's curse turned out to be unsuccessful, Bilam gave an advice to Balak. He said, send the woman to entice the Jewish nation, they should sin, and then Hashem will punish them by himself, and we don't even have to do anything. And that's what happened, as we read in the end of Parshas Balak, beginning of Parshas Pinchas, the sad story of the woman which Balak, which the Ammon and the Moab, which they sent in order to entice Klal Yisrael, in order to entice them to sin. And because of that, they're never allowed to marry into Klal Yisrael. There's another nation, the Egyptian nation. Who are the Egyptian nation? The Egyptian nation, we know, they're the ones that enslaved us for hundreds of years. And what about them? Well, they are also forbidden from entering the Jewish nation, but only for 3 generations. If an Egyptian has accepted Gior, married an Egyptian woman who also accepted Gior, they're Jews, their children also married a similar Egyptian convert, their 3rd generation already may enter Klal Yisrael. But why? They enslaved us, they killed us, they threw our sons into the river. Say Chazal, from here we see a very important rule. Somebody who tried to kill us, somebody who actually threw our babies into the water, terrible. But you know what? It's not the most terrible thing that a nation can do to the Jewish nation. The most terrible thing that one nation can do to another to the Jewish nation is to entice them to sin against HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's even worse than that nation that threw our babies into the river. Perhaps we can learn a lesson for our own lives as well. We all live in social settings. We have family members, we have friends, we have colleagues, and we influence them in different ways. Sometimes, unfortunately, we hurt them, we cause them pain, and that's terrible. But the Torah is teaching us that the worst thing a person can do to his friend is to cause them to sin, to lead them astray, to give them bad advice in terms of his relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and his relationship with keeping mitzvahs and learning Torah. We can influence them to learn another word of Torah. We can influence them to do one more mitzvah. That's the best thing that a person can do to his friend, the best thing that one human being can do to another human being. Even more than giving a person physical life, giving a person spiritual life and spiritual satisfaction and meaning in life, that's the best thing that a person can do for one other human being. This has been a short Dvar Torah in Parshas Ki Teizei. Good Shabbos.